Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering from ELD's Time Vault Games. We've got Rodney here on Dragon. Actually not even running World Gorger at this point, just on Abdel. Very similar effect. Force of Will stopping Putrid Imp. Players know each other well. Friends for a very long time, playing in the elimination round of an ELD Legacy Open. Team Hammerfist squaring off. Only one will go on, I believe, to the finals. This might be the finals. Apologies if I get that wrong. And a couple of weeks since this event took place. Force of Will stopping Putrid Imp. That is not the type of card that you're generally excited to Force of Will as far as quality goes. A Dark Ritual into Entomb. Now that's a card that you're pretty happy to counter. Which Tom does. Oh, and gets the Dark Ritual just as a throw-in. That is brutal. So Rodney Dark Ritualing before the Entomb, leaving enough mana to win the game after the Entomb resolves. Instead, Entomb gets stopped and the Dark Ritual literally thrown right in the bin for 0 value. That is going to be difficult to come back from. Entomb, one of the best tutors in the game. Not often thought of as a tutor. It doesn't actually put the card into your hand, but you know what? In the decks that it's played, it would actually rather have the card in the graveyard anyways. Murktide Region has shown up for Tom. A 6/6 setting a 3-turn clock. Needs to hold down the fort for 3 more turns. Has already expended 2 Force of Wills. Not likely to be much left in his hand here. Cabal Therapy. Oh, actually targeting himself. So Cabal Therapy, putting Gristlebrand into the bin. I agree with that. I mean, if Tom's got triple Force of Will, he's got you. That is acceptable. Gristlebrand then discarded, and now there's an Animate Dead in hand. 2 mana open. Not actually sure what he's waiting on. Is he just playing around Daze? Wow. Wow, so he plays around Daze. Passes the turn, gives Tom a turn to top deck Expressive Iteration. This Expressive Iteration could easily find more counter magic. I think you just got a jam there. We'll see how this plays out. Mystic Sanctuary played on Tom's side. It's actually a card that could possibly grow this Murktide larger. Right now it's just a 6/6. Mystic Sanctuary can put a Expressive Iteration back on top of your library. Good effect. Oh, and Murktide plus Lightning Bolt in hand. 4 points of life. That Lightning Bolt, a bit of a nuisance. So Grief does take it. And Cabal Therapy gets the last card. So a 6/6 flyer versus a 6/7 lifelinker. No cards in hand for Delver. Dragon really in control at this point. Certainly has the lead. I suppose there's not a lot of control going on. Unmask, Hardcast. Oh, and it's a Bolt in hand, which gets chucked at Rodney's head. He is down to 1. There's a little bit of a decision there. Do you attack into this 6/6? I mean, if a Bolt is top decked, it's over either way. If you start pushing through damage, I mean, he has to top deck a Bolt within like 3 turns. There could be an argument for using the Lightning Bolt on the Gristlebrand to prevent the attack. Let me know how you would have used that Bolt. Do you just go upstairs? Or do you bolt the Gristlebrand to prevent the race from taking place for an extra turn? Up to 7 life. Abdel actually cast. That's something you don't see very often. Fetching down to 6. Yeah, so Abdel actually cast, exiling Gristlebrand and Animate Dead, sacking it to Cabal Therapy, and it's going to be Infinite Boys, along with a 7/7 Gristlebrand as a potential chump blocker. Abdel just, I mean, he got cast. There you go. That is a big upside to Abdel that I don't think we've really talked about on the channel before. World Gorger Dragon, of course, the predecessor. Is that right? I don't know if I got that. I might have just got that backwards. Abdel has followed up World Gorger's long reign of terror with his less risky Xbox. No longer do you get blown out, losing all of your permanents to a card like Swords to Plowshares. This is at the cost of not removing your land, so you don't actually get infinite mana. You just get infinite guys. And on the other side, cards like Karakas can interfere. It is a legendary creature. But the fact that it can be cast and then sacked to Cabal Therapy is very interesting. We've seen that before. Deck is on 4 Lotus Petals. That is not a totally unreasonable sequence of plays, and the fact that it's an extra body to sacrifice to Cabal Therapy. Yeah, that is a strong interaction right there. It's a heck of a way to win a game. Fetching to lead off game 2, finding a volcanic island. Into a Darcy Dragon Rage Channeler. Definitely the better option starting out. That's going to make all of his non-creature spells surveil. Looks like there was a 2-mana follow-up, which I didn't actually catch on camera. Tom, Force of Willing a Thoughtseize. I will try and have players play just on our mats. This is unfortunate that we can't quite make out the cards. Also kind of messes with the color balance quite a bit. Cracking a fetch. Oh, it's Maddening Hex on the other side of the board there. I don't know if that was... I thought that was a 2-drop cast. Well, Nature's Claim is taking out Maddening Hex. Part of the ability to run Artifact and Enchantment Destruction in green. Reverent Silence, Nature's Claim. Oh, it's Null Rod. There we go. That's the 2-mana play. Expressive Iteration. So I suppose when you get got by hardcast Abdel, thanks to Lotus Petal, you're bringing in Null Rod. Not actually sure what else Rodney could have for artifacts. In previous builds, he was running like Shriekhorn, I think it was, a terrible artifact that mills yourself. Later kind of upgraded the Stitcher Supplier. It's not a strict upgrade, but overall I think it is a better card. Both of them are kind of risky in that if your opponent lets it resolve, it might do its job. And if it does, it's incredible. So you kind of put your opponent in a space where they have to take a potential risk. Rodney actually making another interesting play here. So he has Thoughtseize Tom, understands the situation, and then brings back Brazen Borrow with Reanimate in order to trade with Dragon Rage Channeler. has to attack. Force a negation, stopping Entomb. Reanimate. Often used against Reanimator in interesting situations. Death Shadow, for example. Throwing a Reanimate out on a discarded bomb. Or if you Thoughtseize them and put Gristlebrand in the graveyard and immediately reanimate it. Very powerful effect for 1 mana. Has been since 7 Tempest came out, I think. Force blue card in hand, but no body on board. Kind of hanging out with a Null Rod. Now Dragon Rage Channeler coming back with a Dance of the Dead. This is going to be a 4/4. Lotus Petal is played, surveilling, putting a Archon into the bin. Lotus Petal at least getting some value, despite the Null Rod, still helping out the cause, getting dead cards out of the way. Archon not likely to be cast from here. 4 mana available. Dragon Rage has to attack, gets +1/+1 thanks to Dance of the Dead. And now Murktide makes a mockery of this situation. So this is a absolutely gigantic Murktide. This Dragon Rage is going to have no choice but to crash into it shortly before the Murktide sends back in the other direction to close out the game. It's pretty difficult to imagine what Rodney could do from here. Anything other than bringing back this Archon will not do. And we see that splash of red and blue in Tom's hand. He's got a Force ready to stop it. The Dragon Rage... Oh, of course, actually, Dragon Rage doesn't untap. Not worth spending the money to kill it. And there's the Animate. Tom has Force and Surgical. There you go. Animate dead. Fired off. Gets to see the hand and the rest of the library. Surgical, definitely the better response than the counterspell there, as you get all of that extra information. Scooping there might actually be the better line. Well, I guess he had to reanimate for a Dragon Rage to stay alive for an extra turn, giving him a chance at another top deck. So all the information was given, though they may have playtested together. I'm not actually sure. Sit away from the shop. Very interesting match with a lot of unconventional plays so far. Animating opposing creatures. Hard casting Abdel. Here we have a Force of Will stopping Thoughtseize. So Force on the Thoughtseize. Delver of Secrets in hand along with a Brainstorm. Passes the turn. Looks like just 3 cards left, so this is a low mull. Now Brainstorm in response to yet another Thoughtseize. Maddening Hex. Likely leaving Delver on top. So here, 2 Delvers. So no real choice. And a land. Putrid Imp from the other side. Ponder was left on top of the library. This could represent Force plus blue card. Ponder keeps. Might be able to assume that. That does get into the potential bluffing element of the game. So honestly, it may have been better to just jam a turn 1 Delver. I generally don't force of will Thoughtseize. Let me know what you think of that play. Especially with the cantrip. Take the force of will, and then you have the ability to play a cantrip to try and find another one. Well, that's it. Coast is clear. Abdel into the bin. Animate dead. And just like that, it is over with infinite 1/1s. Does not have an answer in the form of a sweeper. He extends the hand as Dragon or Abdel takes it down.